Hey guys, welcome back to the channel for another impromptu live. And I'm quite enjoying doing these live and just going on and just chatting about whatever subject is being talked about that day. So today, as the title of this video suggests, I want to discuss Reiki and the belief of Reiki and the fact that sometimes people think that we need to believe in Reiki for it to actually work and for it to be effective. So is that the case? So if you're a Reiki practitioner or a Reiki teacher, or you use Reiki in some form within your life, then do let us know of your belief system behind this. But do we really need to believe in Reiki for it to be effective? So over the years of practicing, of learning from my Reiki level 1 through to the master teacher where I am currently, I've come across many people, a broad spectrum of people that have very little understanding of what Reiki is. I mean, I didn't really know what Reiki was until I decided I was going to use it for my own health and wellness and on my own healing and spiritual journey. And we need people like myself and other Reiki practitioners and other energy healers in the different modalities to be able to give this information as to what is actually available to us and what we can actually do with this spiritual healing energy, and also with the power of our own minds as well. That is a big component to Reiki. But do we really need to believe in Reiki? Do we really need to believe that we need to have this belief that Reiki is going to do something for us? And the general consensus of opinion from a lot of people that I've spoken to and clients that I've worked with in the past, thank you for the love, whoever gave me the love. I know there's one watching currently, so thank you for that. But the general consensus of opinion of people that I've worked with have had no conception of what Reiki is. They have no conceived idea of what will happen, what will take place, what they will feel, or what they will expect. But they just know something has taken place and something has happened. And I've worked with clients some clients I've worked for months, years, sometimes, depending on what they want individually and what they're getting from the sessions. And it comes to a point where they just know that the Reiki has had a very, very beneficial effect on their life. It's changed their outlook, it's changed their mental state, it's changed the way they respond to people and they respond to situations. So it's really let a lot of stuff go, which previously would have probably kept them sort of locked in the mind, would have probably kept them locked in the mental anguish of the mind and the emotional states that we sometimes feel and sometimes go through as well. So all that being said, it's had a really, really beneficial effect on so many people that I've personally worked with in life. And I know other people that have gone to other practitioners and have even received Reiki distantly via my YouTube channel or via other YouTube channel and other Reiki practitioners online. They felt the benefit of the healing. And we don't need to believe and we don't need to know what the Reiki is going to do. In fact, probably if we just let go of any concept of any idea of what the Reiki is going to do, then it will actually be more effective, because we're removing any of those layers and those filters that we think, oh well, it's going to help me do this, it's going to help me do this, it's going to help with that, it'll clear that away, I've got this pain in my back, I really want the Reiki to go towards that. But behind the scenes, internally within us, what is causing that back pain? Consciously, you might think, oh, I've pulled a muscle from bending over, from doing this, from picking that up, from carrying too much shopping, or whatever it might be. But energetically, there could be something totally different going on. It could be something to do with your emotional state. It could be something to do with stress. You may be carrying a lot of people's troubles on your shoulders, which is causing backache. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on internally within us that we don't think about, we don't conceive, and we don't have any idea about that really until we go to an energy healer. We go to somebody that is using what many deem as an alternative practice to health, But really, it's nothing alternative. There's nothing alternative about it. It is just finding a true way, your true way of being, your harmonious state within the self. Just finding that balance, finding that peace, finding that outlook on life that is beneficial to you, to those that are around you, and in turn, that affects other people that are around them as well. So it really is vibrational healing on all levels, to not just the individual that is receiving the healing, receiving the Reiki, but because it's having a benefit to them, it's also benefiting the people that are around them. So, you know, for instance, if somebody comes to me for Reiki because they've got anger issues, or they're feeling really, really anxious, and that anxiety is affecting people that are around them, then over the course of treatments of having the Reiki, and maybe they get that benefit once a week, twice a week, depending on how often they have the sessions, they get that benefit, and that benefit relaxes them. So in turn, it helps others to relax because they can feel that relaxed nature that is coming out of them from receiving the Reiki. And with that relaxed nature, it goes in waves. It goes in waves outwards. It transcends beyond that person to all situations that are going on around them. And then it creates more of a habitual state internally. So I had no idea when I learned Reiki, I had no idea what Reiki was going to do for me. When I've had my first few sessions with my Reiki teacher, I had no idea of what it was going to do. I just saw this information on a leaflet, and I just took his word for it basically. And I thought, well, what's the worst that can happen? I've tried 10, 15 years of medication. I've tried all of this stuff. I've tried to use antidepressants. I've tried to use beta blockers. I've tried to use anti-anxiety medication. What's the worst that can happen now? I was at the point in my life where I could have just been gone. I wouldn't have, I thought, well, get rid of me, get rid of the problem, but that was my mental state at the time. And from having discovered meditation, which opened my consciousness, to then discover Reiki, to then know that I can now learn Reiki and facilitate this healing for myself through the various levels that we learn through Reiki. So I did my level 1, and I was working on myself every day because I felt the benefit, I felt the shift, I felt the lift, the lightness in my energy continuously through this healing journey, through the 21-day clearing cycle after learning Reiki, and then beyond. But before that, before actually learning it, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have a belief system or a belief structure about Reiki. Hi, Sonia. I'm live again. I'm enjoying these lives. But I didn't have a belief structure about Reiki. I didn't know what it was going to do. And sometimes we just get to a point in life where we just think, well, what's the worst that can happen? What have I got to lose? And it's in that point usually. And it's funny, I was having this discussion with my mother the other day, and we were just in the supermarket, and I was talking about like people's like wellness state and the mental health, and people only get concerned about their health and the mental health and their overall wellness when there's actually something affecting them. Before that, they don't even think about it. Life's great. They're living their life. They're getting pissed every weekend. They're eating junk food, or they're watching toxic stuff on the TV, and they're just filling the body and the soul up with all this negative energy and not thinking anymore about it, until eventually it catches up with them. And that's the only time. It's the only point that so many people think about their health and wellness, is when it's all going wrong. So where do we go? Where do we go from there? Then we start looking down the pharmaceutical route. Then we start looking at the mainstream route of what we can do, what we can get. How are we going to be able to help ourselves? What can we use for this? What can we use for that? But before that, none of that was even thought about. Nobody thought about, oh, let's try some meditation to just calm the nervous system down, calm the brain down, just calm the mind down, because that has so many benefits on your overall health internally. Meditation is a wonderful holistic healing practice for you internally. It calms everything down, reduces stress, reduces cortisol, gives you more endorphins in the mind, them feel good factors, just by finding that nice peaceful state within the mind. And it has so many overall benefits. But until people reach that point that they need it, they just think it's woo woo. They just think it's, oh, I haven't got time for that. You've got time for all of that shit that takes place in life, but you've got not got time for your own wellness and your own health and well-being. And it only comes to that point when things happen, people deal with it, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to have to start doing that. I need to look for something. I need to look into this. I need to look for more of that. Even now, GPs and doctors are prescribing, just to, especially in Japan. Japan, it's huge because the culture is totally different. They're not focused on big pharma. They're not focused on the pharmaceutical industry and medications and the toxic stuff. They're looking for natural ways to reset the nervous system and reset the mind and body. And they talk about, a lot of them in Japan, the doctors, they prescribe walking in forests. When you look at the word forest, how it's spelled, it says for rest. So everything has a meaning. Everything is in plain sight. Everything is before us. It's just, are we going to take that time for ourselves to dedicate a healing path for ourselves? So, do we need to have a belief about Reiki, about the effectiveness of Reiki? No. I think if you start to have a belief and a belief structure before you even start on a Reiki journey, then that will, I think personally, I think it will probably hinder a lot of stuff. It will probably slow a lot of stuff down because you've already got these perceptions built up internally that, like, oh well, Fred down the street, he learned Reiki, and his life transformed for the better, and all this amazing stuff took place in his life, and he's gone to this, he's done this journey, and he's now built his own business. He's got his own business as a Reiki practitioner, but now he's learning other holistic therapies. Or he used to suffer really, really badly with mental health, or other maybe physical ailments, but now since he started learning Reiki, he's flourished. So now you've got that belief structure that, well, because Fred down the street has learned Reiki and that's what it's done for him, it's going to do exactly the same for you. Wrong. It's not going to do exactly the same for you. It'll help you in whatever way you need to be helped, on whatever path you're on, whatever soul journey you're on. It may not be your soul journey to actually learn Reiki. It may be your journey just to discover Reiki and have Reiki sessions. The Reiki sessions themselves then help you to reharmonize your mind and body and spirit. So then you can find your own way, you find your own path. And that's what the meditation and the Reiki did for me. It really opened things up. It opened my consciousness to being able to follow my heart, follow my intuition, follow my gut, and get out of this, let go of this, let go of the overthinking, get into the heart, get into the body. What are we feeling? What are we receiving? What's the messages that I'm getting from the healing? What are the messages I'm getting from myself, from my own energy, my own spirit, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, your guides, your angels, your ancestors, all these different terms we give them. But what are we getting from it? What are we feeling from them and from yourself, from you? Because it all comes through you. It doesn't come from an external source. It's all part of you. So your ancestors are in your DNA. They're a part of your very being. Your guides you've lived with in various aspects of your life, they are with you in your DNA. This is how we access past lives, through past life regression, because you're being taken to an area of the subconscious mind of lives that you've existed in, and sometimes these past lives come up for me in Reiki sessions. Not always, but sometimes, occasionally, more with distance healing than in-person healing. So yeah, I don't think you need a belief structure. However, as you start to evolve and develop with Reiki, you start to understand a little bit more about it, the benefits you're getting from it. It creates a bit more of a clarity in the mind for you, and it gives you more more potential, more focus, to discover who you are and the direction you're taking, and maybe the changes you need to make in life. I put a video out. I think it went out yesterday. It was about when things in Reiki go bad, or these things that people deem as being negative occurrences after a Reiki session. And I was talking in that video about a comment that I received on a video that I did on TikTok, and this person commented saying that they don't believe in Reiki anymore. They don't trust Reiki, because it turned their ex-partner very selfish and uh, quite evil and egoic, and he just sort of ghosted them and just totally separated himself from them. And it took me a while. I had to speak to like my higher self, my spiritual team, to try and get the information of what this beautiful soul needed to hear with regards to guidance about Reiki, and what is actually taking place and what is happening. And what is actually happening is the Reiki is making them aware of their ego and their shadow and the things that they need to work on. And that's when sometimes this stuff comes up to be aware of, and it can negatively, sometimes people will deem it negative, that it's happening, it's happening to them on a negative level, but in actual fact it's not happening on a negative level. It's actually making them more aware of themselves. They need to separate themselves from the place that they're at currently, so they can then work on that and discover what they need to discover. Once they've separated themselves from the situation, and they've parted ways, it's down to that individual to then do the work that needs to go into finding themselves and doing the healing inner work with themselves. It really is, absolutely. Whether they want to do that is totally up to them. Again, we can't influence that. We can't say, well, you need to do this. No, they need to do what they need to do. I can't force someone to do something. It's like I always say to hypnotherapy clients, I'm not a magician. I can't make you do anything. It's all down to you at the end of the day. All I'm doing is I'm just speaking to the subconscious. I'm just giving subconscious cues and tools and means and ways to be able to deal with it, with whatever situation it might be. So I'm not a magician. I'm not magic. It's all down to the individual. It's all down to their very being and their very presence that's doing and facilitating the healing internally. And again, with the other modalities that I use, do we need to believe in them? Do we need to understand them? No, we don't. Just know and just allow and have an acceptance and just an openness and have no expectations and just see what happens, and feel the benefit afterwards. And it'll probably take more than one or two sessions. It'll probably take a few sessions. A lot of clients will, when I start working with them, they often say, well, how many sessions will it take before this is healed or that's healed? And it's a really difficult question to answer, because I always say that 3 or 4 sessions is usually when you start feeling the effects in everyday life. And then after that, whatever needs to take place will take place internally. But I can't consciously say that what I'm doing is going to fix that within this many sessions. I can't consciously say that this is going to do that specifically for that, because I'm not in control of the Reiki. The Reiki is just I'm just channeling peaceful energy. I'm just channeling this spiritual energy, this source energy, to facilitate the healing for you. And the way that we amplify and build that source energy and make it stronger is we work on the Reiki principles. We work on your mantras, you work on your meditation, you work on your spiritual practices in your own space, in your own time. And that is how you develop yourself to make yourself more in tune. I wouldn't say that it makes the energy stronger, but it helps you to harmonize, and it helps you to step away from what is actually going on, rather than being consciously aware of, like, I've said this quite a few times in different videos where, oh, I'm seeing this color, or I'm seeing that, I'm seeing this figure, they're doing this, they're pointing to that, or whatever it might be. If we start to get wrapped up in what we're seeing and experiencing, we're not fully present because we're too busy being concerned of what is taking place. When we become fully present, you actually start to feel, you feel the energy internally, you feel your very essence internally, and you feel as though it's going outwards, it's going out of your hands, you're connecting deeper to the client, and that comes from the practice. It comes from the discipline of learning Reiki and practicing all of the pillars and the principles and everything that's in there to make you uh, to make you not more powerful, to make you more present and more at ease, and just to let go, because that's fundamentally, that is what Reiki is constantly telling us to do. It's being in a constant state of surrender. And it's funny, I've been watching, I use the word surrender now, and I've been watching a lot of prayers on YouTube. And I'm not religious. I know that there is a God. I know that there is a universe, a spiritual energy, a source energy, whatever you want to call it, that flows through all life and you know, has this ability to give and take, and we're always going to have giving and taking, and to be able to help us and guide us on this journey that we're on. So I'm aware of that. But I was visiting a friend yesterday, and we haven't connected for such a long time, so it was nice to go over and see him and have a chat. And he'd said that he'd done his morning prayers that day. And anyway, I said, "Oh, so what do you use?" He said, "Oh, I use a video on YouTube." I said, "Oh, great." I said, "Well, let's sit and listen to your morning prayer. I'd like to do that with you." So he put it on, and we sat and we listened to it, and this overwhelming feeling of just pure love and emotion that just I could just feel in my heart, and I just felt spirit around me. I felt all tingly and lovely and just comforted and warm and supported. And I felt in such a lovely, harmonious space. And it's that it's that feeling where you just know that there is a higher, grander power than us, that is around us all the time, guiding, helping, facilitating. And that is part of the Reiki journey, is discovering that. So, but we don't need to believe in it before we start it. What usually happens is you become more aware of it, you become more receptive to it, you become more in tune with it. You might feel things or be aware of things, the tingling, the colors, the heat and cool spots. It's all part of the process, it's all part of the spiritual energy that is within us. A couple of years ago, I went for a reflexology session, and I've had 3 reflexology sessions so far in my entire life. And the first 2 were all right. We were okay. I felt nice and relaxed. The third one was just out of this world. It was totally different. It was so much more gentle. That the first couple were quite like right in. It was quite hard going stuff. This one, the lady was barely touching my feet, and it was just so gentle, and I could feel the sensation of the energy in my body from where she was working on my feet. I knew exactly in my body where she was working, and I said to her, I said, "Where you're at now on my feet, is that working around this area?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "I can feel it." She said, "Wow, you must be so sensitive." I said, "I can just feel this tingling energy around that area." And then, but when she was on my right foot, the energy was in the left side of my body. When she was on my left foot, the energy was on my right side of my body. So it was like it was crossing over with each foot. So it was the meridians that the energy was going through from my feet, and I could just feel it. It was insane. And when she was on my big toes, like right, where your big toe is, right at the very top, that is your pineal gland. So obviously your pineal gland's right in the middle of your brain, and this is where you get your clairvoyance, your intuition, your psychic abilities. And when she was there at that point, it was a weird emotion that just sort of, it was like a wave that just went through my whole body. And it was this feeling of just sheer joy and elation, but massive amounts of emotion at the same time. I was in this weird place of two polarities of emotion, of just wanting to laugh like crazy because of this feeling that was coming from my feet with this reflexology session, but I was also wanting to just cry. It was really bizarre, but it was amazing at the same time because I knew it was doing something, and I knew on all levels that as she was working through various parts of my feet, and again, I have no belief structure behind reflexology. I know that it's very relaxing, but until that session that I had, I didn't realize the power behind it, of what we can feel, of what we can experience within those sessions. And it's exactly the same for anything else. It's just being open minded, have no belief, have no expectations, and just see what happens, see what comes from it. And, you know, recently, over the last sort of couple of years, some clients of mine that have been very skeptical, very critical, maybe religious as well, so they think it's the devil's work and all that sort of stuff. But are you going to do 21-day cleansing cycle again? That's a really good idea. Really good idea. And I think we should, regardless of our journey of where we are. I think we should. I think we should all at some point dedicate ourselves to that 21-day cleansing cycle again. And I often say this to people that have maybe they've learned Reiki and they've not used it for a long time. And I see this on social media pages as well, where people will ask and say, I was attuned to Reiki 10 years ago, and I did a little bit with it, and I've not really touched it since. I've not really touched it again, but Reiki is with you for life. So once you've been attuned to it, you can use it for the rest of your life. But if you want to reconnect to it again, just do your 21-day clearance cycle and get back into the hand positions, do a little bit of research, subscribe to this channel as well, because there's so much on this channel about Reiki that will be able to help you on your healing journey as well. So yeah, so I really don't think we need a belief structure. Like I say, from my humble beginnings, I had no belief structure. I had no understanding of Reiki, of what it was going to do, how it was going to help, and and I think that is going to have the most benefit for you as receiving the Reiki, by um, not having that belief about something that is going to happen to you or for you. Just be open to it, just accept it, see what happens, see what you get from it, and just be grateful for the time that the practitioner has spent with you to facilitate and hold that space for you, to be able to give you that healing and that space and that time. Because I think in this day and age as well, we're so disconnected from just finding a peaceful space, just to find that little bit of light within ourselves. We're so disconnected by the media, by the outside world, by the technology, by AI, by your phones and your devices. We're so disconnected from our very spirit and our very essence that we're becoming lost. We really are becoming lost. We're losing our connection to our intuition, and to that very aspect of ourselves, of what is eternal, which is our spirit, our soul. Again, you don't have to have a belief in that. You will find out about that when you come to transition. And there's lots of mediums that I work with and I've watched and listened to, and I've felt and hear and connect to spirit occasionally myself, and I just know that that it is there. There is a world around us that exists that we don't see with the physical eye. We just feel, we sense, we just know. Eventually, on some level, we just know intuitively that there is something bigger and grander that is going on behind the scenes. And again, you don't have to have a belief. Eventually, over time, it just becomes a knowing, and that is, again, that is something that comes from the practice and the understanding and the learning and knowing about energy healing and about the various practices that we can use to develop ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. The other question I get asked a lot as well is like, so I've got this physical pain. How long is it going to take for this physical pain to be healed? And the answer that I always give people is the physical body is the last to receive the healing. It really is. So, you could be carrying this pain. And the physical body is basically your vessel to carry your your spirit and your energy. That's all that it is. So the physical healing is the very last. We need to balance the mind. We need to balance the emotion. We need to balance your spiritual. You need to balance all this energy within before the physical healing that can then take place. There's only been a couple of times where people have had issues such as nerve pain and actual physical pain where they've been sort of like jarred out of alignment physically slightly from a fall or a trip, where they've come for some Reiki and they've asked me to just focus on one area. And one particular lady that I worked with not so long ago, she had this uh, nerve pain, which was, she said, it's like toothache, and it was going all the way down her shoulder, down to just above her elbow. So I said, okay. I said, you're gonna, if I work on your head and anywhere else, you're gonna receive the healing wherever you need it. But if you want, I'll just focus on the area. So she said, yeah, yes, please. She said, I love just the heat of your hands. I get so much benefit just from the heat of the hands. I was like, right, okay, no problem. We'll just do that. So I just stayed on the shoulder and the arm for the whole Reiki session. And in fact, about a month before that, or 2 months before that, she was having the same issues with her left leg, again, like a sciatic pain in the left leg. Did exactly the same thing as what I'm about to explain. And basically put my hands on the shoulder, and she was just laid there nice and quiet, and in my mind, I was just asking for this pain to leave, to move along the arm, and to gradually move it along the arm and go. I wanted to try and push it with my mind out of the finger ends and out of the arm. So I just focused on that, and I was just setting my intention, let's just move this pain, let's just release this pain from this beautiful soul to relieve her of this physical issue. And I was just seeing this pain as like a red blob, basically. And I was just moving along with the power of my mind, letting it move, pushing it along. And and she then said, oh, she said, it feels like it's moving. So I was like, all right, okay. I was like, well, where's it? Where do you feel it's moving to? She said, oh, it's like in my elbow. And by this point, this is where I was kind of at. I'd kind of like, in my mind, I kind of like got it down to the elbow. So I was like, I didn't say anything. I didn't let anything on. So I was like, oh, this is great. So I thought, this is really, really interesting. I've never experienced anything like this before. So so I just kept, in my mind, I was just trying to move this pain along, and it was going down. I was pushing it down, so it was down to about here, and going in. I was trying to get it into the little finger, and I was going to push it down the end of the little finger and release it from the end of the little finger. I just kept pushing it with my mind, just asking, just asking for this pain to be released. And then she said, oh God, she said, it's moved again. She said, it's moved quite a long way. I said, oh, where's it at now? She said, oh, it's like down by my wrist. So by this point, I had to kind of like just say, I said, well, so this is what I've been doing. In my mind, I've been mentally trying to push it down the length of the arm, and I'm trying to take it out of the fingers and out of the hand. She was like, "Oh, right, really?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I've never done this before, never experienced this before, but I thought, well, let's just give it a go and see what happens. Can't do any harm." So that's what I was doing, and then eventually I'd pushed it to the point, and she could feel it at the base of the little finger. Then eventually she was like, "It's gone. Like the pain is totally gone." And I'd pushed it out of the end of the finger. And I was like, right. I said, well, it's out of the finger now. It's actually moved. And in my mind, I was actually seeing this red blob move out of the end of the little finger. I was just visualizing that in my mind's eye, So that just shows as well how powerful we are as individuals, as healers, as healing beings. So not just for healing others, but also for healing ourselves. So another instance for where I was working on myself was I was having a lot of, and I've talked about this before in videos on this channel. Welcome to the people that are watching as well. Thanks for the loves. Do give me some hearts as well if you feel called to. It helps the channel get seen, and do subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. But this is something that I was experiencing at the time where I was having a lot of acid reflux and indigestion in my stomach. And everything I tried things for so long, and it seemed to alleviate it a little bit. Then it would come back. Then I get rid of it again. I would maybe drink some soda water to ease the stomach and rebalance the alkaline and acidity in my stomach. And it would just keep coming back, and it become really, really painful. So in the end, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to sit with this and see what this is. So I sat, and I just sat, closed my eyes. I did a bit of a meditation, and I was just talking to my body. I'll say, okay, body, what is this that's in my stomach that's causing this imbalance? And the word that I got straight away from my body was anger. And I was like, well, I'm not an angry person. Why am I feeling this anger? So I said, okay, then anger, it's in my stomach. So I was talking directly to my body. Okay, anger, why are you there? What do you need? What do you need me to do? And internally, I was just saying, I was hearing, you just need to let go of it. I thought, well, I don't feel like an angry person, but there must be something there that's causing this. So I was like, okay, anger, I'm going to let you go. I let go of this anger. I want this anger out of my body, and I want it to be healed. I want to be free of this acid reflux, this reaction that my body is telling me, that's giving me. I let go of this anger. I give this anger permission to leave my body. I let it go. I release it. I release this pain. I don't want to live with this anger and this pain anymore. And I just keep repeating myself over and over again. And I could feel in my heart, I was feeling this emotion rising up. I could feel like, because I was having to let go of something that I didn't realize I was actually holding on to. And I was having to let go of it and let go of it. And I could feel my heart was opening up. I was feeling really upset that I was having to let go of something that I was holding on to. I was like, no, let it go. Let it go. You just need to let this go. You'll feel so much better for it. And that's what I was feeling from my body. And then after a few moments, everything subsided. My stomach just settled down. I let out this huge belch. It was like crazy, crazy belch. This huge belch came up from my very, very stomach, my very belly, and everything subsided. And I've had no issue with indigestion, acid reflux, anything like that since. So it just shows, with the power of the mind, the body, the mind-body connection, that we can facilitate the healing, not just to ourselves, but to others, to the world, to nature. And that takes us how we can then facilitate distance healing. Just the very intention. If we're in the peace and clarity of the mind, the very intention alone, the energy of love, of togetherness, of compassion for where that person is, sending that healing with that intention for their highest good, for the highest good of them, it is going to facilitate wonderful, wonderful healing. And that is how distance healing works as well. So distance healing, in-person healing, there is no time and distance when you're working with the realms of energy, spiritual energy, that connection. There is no distance. It's the same as when people want to do a psychic reading or a mediumship reading, they do it via Zoom. They don't need to be in the same vicinity as the person. They're just connecting to their energy. They're connecting to God. They're connecting to Source. They're connecting to their higher selves and their guides. They're getting this information from this universe, this universal energy, that is wisdom and healing and light, and gives you downloads, gives you validation, gives you synchronicity. It is always there, and it is always around us, permeating every part of our life, every part of our existence. So, the power of just letting go and not needing to believe opens you up so much more. And that's what happened with this prayer. So when I was talking about listening to this prayer with my friend, and I was feeling this emotion rising up, I was feeling all this energy around me, and the message that I got, the reason why people don't want to have a faith or have a belief that there is something bigger beyond is because they have to let go. They have to release. They have to surrender to this energy, to this, because we put so many walls up and so much conditioning and programming and ingrained belief structures from ancestors and ancestral healing. We put so much up to guard us that we feel that we can't let go. It when we feel like we're letting go and we're surrendering, it's like defeating. It's actually not. It's the most powerful thing you can do by letting go. It really, really is, by just surrendering to the universe, to spirit, and just feeling. I mean, you are spirit in form, so it's nothing external. It's nothing outside of yourself. You are all that is, and all that is flowing through you in every part of you. And you know, I've always believed since a child. I mean, I feel I'm an old soul, and I see things happening in the world, and it really affects me, and it affects my heart. But I have to deal with that in my own way, in my own time. Um, but I never ever thought, for one point, when I was in my teens, in my early 20s, that I would be doing anything like this. Yeah, I believed in ghosts and I believed in spirits, but I never ever thought I would be speaking like this so openly from the heart, because I had so many walls up. And it's only over the years of surrender and letting go and just being able to feel every aspect of that energy in every part of your being, being able to let go and surrender to that is the most amazing thing you can do. And again, I didn't have a belief. I've never been religious. I've never followed any sort. The only thing I've ever followed is my intuition. Okay, I never, when I was younger, because I was in the mind and I had all the mental health stuff going on, and I was smoking and drinking and all that sort of stuff. But until I surrendered that and let go of that, that is where true healing starts. When you just let go, and just see how powerful it is. And it happens in layers. It doesn't happen all at once. It's not like, oh, you're closed in and then you surrender and you open. It happens gradually in layers. It really does. And it'll happen in moments in life where, um, for instance, for me, when I was working in the supermarket quite a few years ago, I was getting like really anxious and really tense that, oh, where are all my clients at? Where are these people at? I want to be able to like do this for a living. I want to be able to put this out there and be able to be self-employed and be able to do what I need to do. And I was getting myself so stressed and so wound up and so anxious in the mind and internal and like in my body was just saying, what the hell are you doing? Just calm down. Calm your mind down, because you're just getting yourself back into that place. And I took a deep breath in. I was like, right, you're right. Just listen to your body. Listen to your body. Listen to what your body's telling you. Just calm down. And as soon as I did that, I just felt this wave of elation, of lightness just sweep through my whole body. And I felt all these tingles, and I just knew that spirit was there, just like, it's okay. It's okay. You're all right. We've got you. We're helping you. We are guiding you. And I can feel it now. As I say this, I can feel the presence there. So when you're in that, and you're in that place, you're in what mediums call sitting in the power. When you're in the power of spirit and you're feeling the presence of the energy of the universe, of God, of source, whatever you want to call it, when you feel that around you, oh, it's the most wonderful, wonderful feeling. And that is a level of surrender, of shift. You've shifted your vibration slightly. You've created that nice connection to that realm. And you just, as Sonia quite rightly says there, just believe in yourself. Just let go and just trust. So I hope you've enjoyed this live. I'm enjoying doing these lives. So if you're enjoying these lives, do give me some loves. Do give me some thumbs up, which you already have, I know. So I really, really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. And I send you much love to each and every one of you. I'm going to need to head off in a moment. But I just want to thank you to the people that have joined today to listen to this live, to listen to this, the reasons why we don't need to believe that Reiki is going to work. It will do what it needs to do. Just allow, just let go, just really, really let go. Thank you, ACJ. Thank you. You're welcome. Absolutely welcome. Thank you for joining. Beautiful, beautiful to have you here. So I will see you in another video soon. I will see you in another live in another moment. If you feel called to, do feel free to join the membership on the channel. You know, it's only it's a small cost, but there is 15, 16 videos scheduled, so you'll get early access to all those videos if you feel called to. Again, no pressure. You can also give me a super thanks to just give your love in that way if you wish. But again, subscribing to the channel also is enough for me. You know, it really, really is, and it really warms my heart to see that I'm connecting to some wonderful souls around the world. So I wish you all well. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, night, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. I'm going to head off, but have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you for joining, and see you in another video very soon. Much love. Namaste.